Welcome back, ball fans. It is finally here. It is game week, and today we're going to look at the matchups between two teams, followed by a little pick 'em thing for the weekend. And we hope to see you guys dropping your picks into the comment section. So let's get this thing fired up.
All right, let's look at Tennessee's passing offense against Virginia's passing defense. We don't have to say a whole lot about our team. We know Milton. We believe he's going to do really well. Our wide receivers, we feel really great about them. Our tight ends, I think we're going to match up pretty well with just about anybody in that
Yeah.
area. Now, Virginia had a very stout defense last year. They was 23rd in the country in yards per play, which is probably a better indicator of their defense. They was 46th in points per game defense, but their offense was so bad, and they gave up a lot of turnovers and stuff. I think that really is a bad indicator of their defense.
Yeah, they had a quality defense. They still do.
I mean, their defense was tied with Pitt, which we struggled against last year at points per play, and we only scored 27 on them. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Well, I'll tell
but
you what, they had two great cornerbacks last year, and neither one of them are still there. They're both gone, but their safeties are back. Their entire front seven's almost back. They lost one linebacker, and then they had an injury to their probably the best defensive player, Chico Bennett,
yeah,
their Leo. So that's going to help us against that pass rush of the Cavaliers.
yeah, that will help. I still think in this matchup, I liked our passing game in that
Well, I do.
scenario.
Uh, if I have one thing I'm worried about, or I'm curious to see, is they have two good defensive tackles, and we may find out real quick how much we miss Cooper Mays for the first part of this season.
Yeah, and I think that does concern me a little bit because we may see a little something there.
Oh yeah,
Okay, let's look at our running game against their run defense. And like you said, they got pretty much their entire front seven back against a very stout defense. Uh, we are concerned about that offensive line, especially in the middle. But I think we'll be okay. But man, that's going to tell the tale of this game, whether or not it's going to be a blowout or if it's going to be a pretty close game. Is how do we handle those defensive tackles? I believe.
well, it's still a line of scrimmage game, even when we're high flying like we do. But I don't think they've seen a group of running backs last year like they're going to see this Saturday. Uh, I don't expect us to get a lot up the middle unless our tempo takes over and gets them out of position. If I had to guess, I'm going to say we're going to do most of our damage outside the tackles when we run, probably to the wide side of the field to try to run to open field and cut back possibly. Uh, but we'll find out real quick Saturday how well our offensive line can hold up against a pretty good defensive line.
Mhm. All right, now let's look at Virginia's offense against our defense, and let's look at the passing game. They got a transfer in from Monmouth.
Say that three times fast.
Transfer in from Monmouth.
Yeah, I can say it one time. But
Tony Muskett, I believe his name was.
mhm.
Pretty effective passer. I'm not sure he's going to be the Heisman candidate this year, but they lost their top four wide receivers, but I think that's a little misleading.
It is.
Probably their best guy, Malachi Fields, got hurt uh, early in the season last year, and they had a transfer in from Northwestern, a guy named Washington.
Yeah, he'll be in the slot, I believe.
And I think that's their two best wide receivers, and I think they're two better wide receivers than what.
Yeah, they're two quality guys right there.
Yeah, one's a big 6'4" guy. I think Malachi Fields is 6'4". Washington's like a 5'8", kind of a
Yeah,
little squirrel white kind of guy.
he is. He's on the small side, but he's quick and can motor. So it could cause us an issue or two.
The problem, though, is Virginia's offensive line was straight trash last year, and I really don't see a whole lot of promise from it. They lost 4 guys. They got some transfers in, and last I heard, they could have the right tackle was iffy about this playing in this game. He may play, may not. So if he don't, then that's just another reason to feel good about holding them down. I really don't see them scoring very many points.
Well, no, and it's like you said, Bob. It starts with their offensive line against our defensive line. You insulted trash when you compared their offensive line to it last year. It was horrible. Um, and they're depending on some transfers in. They lost 4 guys off of that trash offensive line last year
Yeah.
and brought 3, I believe, in. And you're asking to hit on all 3. That's hard to do. I mean, you might hit
unlikely.
2, but so I don't see that as being well, I'll put it like this. I think we're going to think our defensive line should be playing in the NFL after this game. And I probably has a lot more to do with the Virginia offensive line.
I love our defensive line.
Yeah, I do
But
too.
it's going to be misleading, I think. That's how bad I think their offensive line is.
Yeah.
Uh,
It really just it puts the rest of their offense just behind the 8 ball.
it does. You know, and we can look at their running game against our run
Yeah.
defense. You know, I really love our defensive line. I love our linebackers. I mean,
Strength of our team last year was definitely against the run.
it was. I mean, and I expect it to be the same way this year. I do know the team has put in more of an emphasis on rush the passer from the interior.
Hmm.
Hopefully that don't hurt the run defense, but we'll see, I guess.
Well, sometimes you got to trade some things out.
Hmm. But you know, man, I just don't see their running game being able to
Well,
amount to much against our
they
stout
brought
run
their 3
defense.
biggest, the 3 running backs back from last year, but the leading rusher only had 300 and some yards.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, it is. And they brought in a transfer from Clemson, who probably the most talented guy in the group, but I don't believe he's grabbed that starting job though.
Right.
So I could see, honestly, they shouldn't move the ball too much against us.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, me personally, I'm thinking 14 points from them is about. I'm thinking about a max amount.
Best case on their side.
Yeah, I'm thinking this game's probably single digits for them.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that where they, might get a little points or manufacture some points is sometimes, when you're a bad offense, you try to do some things on special teams, but I don't really see that as a bonus for them. If
Yeah.
anything, I'm kind of thinking it's going to help us out.
Yeah, I think there's a decent chance we do something there. Would not be surprised if we don't score a touchdown on our special teams, or at least make some major gains there. Keep them pinned in, maybe. Um,
Well, we got D. Williams at that punt return, and I think we're going to have Cam Selton back there on the kickoff return. I'm really excited about seeing him. I could see us busting something tonight, though, or Saturday. Virginia struggled some in the special teams last year.
they did, and I'll tell you something else that they struggled in is turnovers. And we did very well with turnovers last year.
Hmm.
So that's something else to look at. I would not be surprised if we're not a +1 or +2 at the end of this game, especially if we dominate their offensive line and cause their quarterback to throw some iffy passes. This game, and if that does happen, the game could get out of hand quick. You throw a couple, 2 or 3 picks.
It's over quick, probably. Honestly, Bob, this obviously is a game we should win and win handily.
Mhm.
We should be seeing some young guys out there, some freshmen like Aaron Carter should see the field quite often. You know, I don't want to say this is a scrimmage because as soon as you do, Georgia State happens over again and you lose. So as long as the team don't think it's a scrimmage and is ready to come out to play, but we ought to be able to see some guys, new guys, some transfers in and some young guys, and see what they look like.
Well, we're 27.5 point favorites. I think that's pretty close. And, most people disagree with me on that. I really like Virginia's defense. Um, so I don't think we're going to, me personally, I don't think we're going to score like, 50 points or I'm not, I'm somewhere around 40 is what I'm thinking. Uh, but I just don't see them scoring very much at all.
Well, I agree on that part, Bob. I went back and forth exactly how much we're going to score on this game right here. I could see their defensive tackles gumming up our offensive line some, getting us out of, causing us some three and outs, pushing the pocket back in on Milton
Hmm.
and forcing some throws. So, but at the same token, if they're not getting any help off their offense, and they've got to keep pushing it, kicking it back to us,
More possessions,
more possessions
more
to our
chances for D.
offense.
Williams to break one, or yeah, that's one thing that makes me feel better about the game. I think early in the season we may not be clicking, but I don't think they will be.
Yeah.
So that's going to give us more opportunities to score.
So I guess right there, we'll go ahead and jump into the pick'em section, and
Okay.
let's go ahead and call that game right there. Uh, 27.5 points.
Um, I think we're going to go with. I think I'm going to take the 27, Tim. I mean, I think Tennessee can cover that. The over under is 56. That one, I'm not too sure about. I'm thinking a lot of the experts are saying take the over on that. I'm thinking slightly under, but we'll see come Saturday on that one.
Well, I'm not going to bother with the over and under, Bob. I ain't going to lie. I've never won anything in my life, so I stay away from betting anymore. So I'm going to give the points, though. Taking Tennessee, giving the points. And let's move on to another big game Saturday or this weekend. UNC versus USC.
Yeah, that one's UNC, North Carolina, is 2.5 point favorites over South Carolina. I think we picked differently on this one.
We did.
You're taking North Carolina to cover the 2.5, and I'm gonna take South Carolina getting the 2.5.
Well, Bob, I'll tell you what. I mean, North Carolina's got issues. There's
Mm-hmm.
no denying that. But they do have a stud quarterback. Uh, and got a whole lot else. But
Yeah,
I look
pretty
at
dang
South
good.
Carolina, I'm thinking, okay, which Spencer Rattler did we get? Because I know they got offensive line problems, they got defensive line problems,
Yeah.
they got running back problems. So it boils down: do we get the Spencer Rattler that played Tennessee and at the end of the year, or do we get the Spencer Rattler that had the 9 games before they looked like just horrible?
Yeah.
And I'm rolling dice and saying we're going to get that Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, we'll see Saturday, yes. Uh, the next game is LSU minus 2.5 versus Florida State. And this one's going to be interesting. This one I really struggle with. I'm not going to bet with any kind of confidence on this one here, but I'm for some reason I'm thinking Florida State on this one, but we will see. Uh,
I'm looking forward to watching Jared Verse.
the guy that we came so close to getting.
Yes, I thought he was ours, and he would have. You know what? We got him last year. Uh,
Might have been different.
Maybe different. I don't know. I know one thing. He would have got after Rattler some. And
Yeah.
maybe might have stopped him at least once or twice.
Yeah, maybe rattled the cage a little bit.
Yeah, you never know. All it takes sometimes is a little pressure, a
Mm-hmm.
few hits. But I'm going to take FSU in that game too. And I think LSU last year. We look back on LSU last year. I think they're getting a little bit too much love from last year. I don't think they was quite as good as what everybody's making them out to be. Now, I will say this: I think they're a better team this year, but I think the record was better than what their team was last year.
Yeah, we put a pretty good whooping on them last year. But anyway, let's go on. The next game is UTSA, a future opponent for Tennessee, which a lot of people are a little concerned about. Say it's a track game. So that's one a little bit of interest versus Houston. Houston beat them last year. So they're getting Houston's -2 on that one. UTSA's +2. Where are you going on this, Tim?
Well, I'll be honest about it. I'm not great on this one right here. I don't feel real great, but I'm going to go UTSA. Um, Hires their quarterback, their 7th-year quarterback. These early games, give me a stud quarterback, and I'm kind of going to fall in their camp.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's who I took too. The next game is Boise State +15 versus Washington. Kind of big,
Kind of a big gap every time for Boise State. Of course, you know, it's the first game of the season and whatnot and everything. I'm going to go Boise State. I want to go 15 points. I think this is a little much early in the season, even though, you know, Penix for Washington, they can really put some points on the board.
yeah, I mean, really good wide receiver core there. But maybe I'm thinking that offensive line, I mean, the whole offense in general is not the greatest early in the year, especially tossing the ball around. Boise State, that's a lot of points to give up, Boise State.
It
I'm
is.
gonna go Boise State plus the 15.
All right, that's the five that we're picking. But you've got a lock of the week on another game.
Yeah, I won't go into a whole lot of details, but Nebraska plus 7.5 versus Minnesota. That's probably the one I like best out of all those. There was a few other ones I liked, but we tried to stick with some of the bigger games. But the Nebraska 7.5, getting 7.5 versus Minnesota, that's probably the one I like the best. We'll try to keep track of these. We'll do this maybe every week.
Every week.
And, see how we look at the end of the year.
Yeah. So now we're going to go to our guest picker to pick his games. I'll say, well, and chances are he's probably going to beat us on the pick spot.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So, guys, we will catch you later in the week, and we're ready for this thing to get going.
Yeah, I'm excited, Tim. I'm ready to chalk up a W.
Amen. All right, go Orange, guys.
Go Vols.